we go. Bring it down. We're still in the background. What is up, everyone? Hi. Chapter 1, Existential Nihilism. Oh, man. This is why am I going out the gate with such a deep one? Because this has been on my mind for about a week or so. Well, actually over a week. Real quick, I'm trying to find a little different background. There we go. So, nihilism has been in the news lately, and I'm not going to go into deep detail as to why. Mostly because it does have political context there, and I don't want to get into the political context of it, but I think that currently there is a huge misunderstanding of what nihilism is in general. Nihilism, I guess in a simple word or a simple definition, is basically the belief that nothing has intrinsic value, nothing has an inherent value. There's different types of nihilism. I'm going to go tonight specifically into existential nihilism, which will cover three different types of other different subcategories of nihilism: despair, disorientation, and the last man. All this is reference from Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche, and just let me bring up the first slide. I made slides, guys. That's how fucking nerdy I am tonight. Existential nihilism is a philosophical theory that life has no objective meaning or purpose. The inherent meaninglessness of life is largely explored in a philosophical school of existentialism, where one can potentially create their own subjective meaning or purpose. This is just a generic definition from Wikipedia, but it's accepted for what we're discussing. Gosh, I had a whole thought on how I wanted to approach this. So I wanted to start with, disorientation nihilism. I just want to read this quote real quick. This is a quote, of course, from Friedrich Nietzsche. God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? What was holiest and mightiest of all that the world has yet owed the bled death under our knives? Who will wipe the blood off of us? What water is there for us to clean ourselves? What festivals of anointment, what sacred games shall we have to invent? Is not greatness of this deed too great for us? Must we ourselves not become God simply, or appear worthy of it? Nietzsche. Usually people will only read like the first line or two and call it, oh man, Friedrich Nietzsche just hated God. So basically, when this is during the Enlightenment period, so a little history real quick. This was a time period where a huge chunk of all of Europe believed in some form of Christianity. Huge. It was like 90-something%. But it was also during a time where a lot of people were detaching themselves from those religious values and thinking of other values, other moral systems, other ways of thinking, ways to perceive the world. Mostly because during the Enlightenment period, there was a lot of mashup of different ideas from around the world, and a lot of Enlightenment thinkers, such as Nietzsche, posed a lot of questions, gave a lot of insight, I guess you could say. And one of Friedrich Nietzsche's greatest, I think, one of his best contributions to philosophy is nihilism. Right now, as nihilism sets in a lot of people's mind, it's a lot of like sadness and depression and thoughts of wanting to not go through it, a lot of despair, and we're going to get to that part. A lot of people think is nihilism is just some sort of fruitless end. Nietzsche thought it was the beginning, and I tend to agree with him. Throughout my life, I've gone through, I like to call it existential crisis at different moments in my life. Most recently, I say about a few years ago. Yeah, so let's get on with the first one. The first one I want to talk is about disorientation nihilism. This one goes on the heels of the God is dead quote. This one, for all intents and purposes, is reliance of external systems of morality to avoid confronting meaninglessness. Blah, words are hard. Hashtag that shit. But what does that mean? What does that mean? So I say when I was around 14, 15 years old, that's when I started to really question the whole God thing. Do I believe? Do I not believe? Is it real? Is it fake? Is it yada yada yada? Something had impacted my life at that time. Around that age, I had a death in the family, a very close family member, sibling, and I remember a lot of relatives coming into town, a lot of talk about this and that, about God's plans and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it always just bugged me. It didn't clash. So without going into huge detail, eventually I let go of those beliefs, those religious God beliefs. I let them go. They no longer had a purpose in my life. They had no meaning. And because of that, because I didn't have that as a meaning, I was sort of like in limbo. What are my values? What are my morals? What is my purpose in life? I didn't know. I had no idea. So in that release, see, we're basically born. I mean, we're with nihilism. Everything has no meaning. So we're born meaningless. We give ourselves as we grow up. Our parents or people around us, they give us our values, they give us our morals, because that's how we're raised. We just don't spontaneously are born with these inherited values or morals. They're learned. So, and when we're learning these morals, example, Nietzsche usually often uses Christianity as an example of a disorientation, nihilism. But I think you can also use political parties. You can almost use almost any tribalistic aspect. It's a way to replace the meaninglessness with a set of values, but it's a set of values that aren't necessarily yours that you own. They're what's that definition again? What's that word in the definition? Disorientation. Reliance on external systems. Here we go. External systems. That's the word I was looking for. External. So you're using external systems to fill that void of meaninglessness, filling the void of having a purpose. I did this when I left the aspect of religion behind. I didn't really have anything to attach myself to, what values, what meanings. I was in the military at this time, so I think I used the military core value system as a way to mold onto. Again, it's another external. It's an external source of values. So the military can be one, political parties can be one, and you can actually take a lot of these in like a Venn diagram and cut certain ones from here and here and adopt them all for yourself. But again, at the end of the day, they're all external value systems in which you're adopting to fill that void of meaninglessness. And that's what happened when I detached myself from the religion aspect. It's like, well, I still don't know what I'm doing here. I'm still young-minded, dumb, and I don't know what to do. I'm not able to, haven't really connected the dots to completely think for myself at that time, I guess. So I attached myself to, like I said, military core values amongst friends, and etc. Which, I mean, there's nothing entirely wrong with it, I guess. Um, it's I guess it's been kind of the way we've been doing it for goddamn, this feels like a millennia, ages, and ages and ages and ages. Um, but which does lead me to passive and active nihilism. So these, let's go passive real quick. Passive nihilism kind of goes hands in hand with despair, disorientation, and last man. And I'm going to get to those eventually. The other two, but passive nihilism is a state of resignation where individuals surrender to despair or seek comfort in outdated beliefs. Again, you could use almost any religion to fill that definition. A lot of those are outdated beliefs. I would even say some of our current political values are outdated beliefs. So when somebody, instead of erecting their own values, Nietzsche. Oh man, this is kind of difficult without going into the whole Ubermensch thing, which I'm not going to. I might touch on it a little bit later on, but I'm trying to figure out the best way. When you're constructing your own value system and void of any others, you have to be careful again to fall into, scratch all that. Oh man, I'm sitting here thinking of Nietzsche, but I have Slavoj Zizek in the back of my mind right now, because he's brought this up too, and he's referenced Nietzsche. I just want to get something straight real quick. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to go into despair, or no, last man. So once I gave up the whole religion thing, it's late at night. Everybody's yelling goodnight in the house. Once I let go of the disorientation nihilism, I found myself sort of, again, where to go. I kind of, over time, I dropped the whole, well, this is actually when I got out of the Air Force. I got out of the Air Force, and again, I felt meaningless. I felt purposeless, no purpose again. So it's like I had to find something new. What did I do? I lashed on to another external source, more of a last man, per se, which, I mean, this kind of coincides with, I think, modernity at the moment, or postmodernism. But where's that last man quote? All right, so, alas, the time of most despicable man is coming. He that is no longer able to despise himself. And I want to pause right there. You see a lot of this live, love, life, love thyself, this whole mantra of constant positivity. Behold, I show you the last man. What is love? What is creation? What is longing? What is a star? Thus asked the last man, and he blinks. The earth has become smaller, and on it hope the man who makes everything small. We have invented happiness, say the last man, and they blink. This sort of kind of, and oftentimes I brought up the whole non-playable character idea. This sort of nihilism is kind of just accepting everything, being content on what you have, not causing any static, sort of just like hitting cruise control in life and just going at it, Hoss. Get up, brush your teeth, clock in, or go to work, clock in, clock out, go home, do the family thing, recycle, and just repeat. Just the last man. You just have there's no spark there anymore. There's no Does everybody fit into that? Oh, hell no. Absolutely not. But you know which ones do, and you see them. They're just almost dead. Almost dead. It's like their coping mechanism is the daily mundane routine. The Again, it's just another form of passive nihilism. Just giving in, accepting that there's no real value except what is being except the routine itself. It's boring if you ask me. Which is not one I could actually ever really get into. I conflated a lot with our current political foray, I guess, when it comes to, let's say, okay. So first of all, guys, when it comes to politics, I don't take teams. I don't pick teams. I'm more of a outside observer. The Democrat Party, the liberals, they seem to feel that they've reached the pinnacle of what a society should be. Everything is bureaucracy. You just go in, you clock in, you just make sure the papers get pushed, the I's get dotted, and the T's get crossed. There's no revolution there. It's just small increments over time, reformation. It's safe. It's safe. It's boring. It's God. I don't even know what fucking word. I mean, the last man. I don't even understand. I mean, there's a reason why he calls it the last man. There's a whole story that goes with that. You'd have to go read it again. I'm not going to the whole meat of it. But it's complacency. I think it's where, we don't know our meaning or our purpose, so we replace it with complacency. I think complacency would be the right word that I'm trying to go with. I think it's I think within that complacency it's sad. See, oftentimes people think nihilism itself is the problem, and I've never thought that. I've always thought that it's what we, and this is a Nietzsche conclusion. It's funny. I came to this conclusion before I even knew what Nietzsche was, and it's funny is because Nietzsche is often contributed to a philosophy that was like a backbone of Nazism, which is totally out of context. If you know anything about Übermensch or Nietzsche, he was more of an individual, rugged, rebellious type. Nazism is more of a collective hive mind thing. Totally different. So for a long time, I avoided, I ignored Nietzsche. I didn't want nothing to do with it, yada, yada, yada. And then one day I was like, let's sit down and learn a little bit of Nietzsche. This time I had already read, I've already read like Marx and a lot of like contemporary philosophers like Beauregard and Guy Du Bois, a lot of like, more modern type shit. So when I hit Nietzsche, I wasn't going in completely blind. Like he had came up in other facets of learning. But so I finally sat down and I learned a little of Nietzsche. I was like, well, son of a bitch, this guy had it figured out. This is the way I've came to my conclusion over time. But it was really good to like put like conceptual words to these ideas and stuff. So it helped parse stuff out, helped me understand that I wasn't the only one who thought like this. But anyway, to go back, so it's not nihilism itself that's bad. It's what we plug into that meaning, what we plug into that purpose. And I'm not downgrading Christianity or any religion or anything of that sort. Like if that's what makes you happy, if that's what you want to define your purpose, your value system, by all means have at it, Hoss. I just feel that to reach quote unquote full autonomy, liberation, that nihilism is the key. And it's not what you replace with the nihilism. It's not the external values that you fill with the nihilism. I'm going to get there, but I want to touch on my biggest problem when it comes to nihilism. After I dropped the disorientation, after I got past the last man shit, the last man shit. The way I got past that is I have. God, I wish I remembered the philosopher that said this, and I'm paraphrasing. I live my life so free that my existence is pure rebellion. Yeah. after the whole last man phase, I guess I'm doing this as phases because it makes it's easy to plug it in life experience, but oh fuck, I do want to backtrack real quick all the way to the beginning. I'm so all over the place. Nihilism. We have big word nihilism. Then under that umbrella, you have existential nihilism. That's what I'm kind of discussing tonight, or attempting to. Then under that, you got all these other types of nihilism. You got political nihilism. You got epistemological nihilism, which is like, can humans even achieve knowledge? Political nihilism. Do political parties even have a purpose to exist? I mean, are they relevant basically? And there's moral nihilism, and then there's more modernity ones like techno nihilism, etc. But again, I'm focusing more on existential nihilism tonight. Disorientation, last man, and despair. Despair is the one that drove me absolutely to the brink of staring into the abyss, flinching, and almost falling the fuck in. Luckily, I tied myself off, figuratively speaking. So despair nihilism, and let me bring up do I have? I think I do. Here we go. People are still with me. Oh, thank you. A belief that life is suffering, leading to withdrawal from worldly desires. This one hit me hard. This one hit me after my divorce. Actually, not right after my divorce. It hit me about a couple years before. I had reached a point in my life where I looked at all these traditions and values and stuff that I found myself possessing again, simply not because they were mine, but simply because I felt I had to. I was obligated to, through marriage. Because like before we settled down in Oregon, we had moved around a lot, so it was just me, the ex, and the kids, and we were all family dynamic. And when we got to Oregon, it was like a lot of her family and a lot of influences. You have to do it this way, and et cetera, et cetera. And it caused a lot of suffering, caused a lot of strife in my life. I withdraw from desires. I had found no pleasure in anything anymore. Like hobbies, like motorcycle riding, brewing beer, hanging out with friends, like everything. I didn't like. Sex was boring. I didn't like sex. Sex is still something that's weird. This is a grown man saying this, but it's too much emotional baggage there. But so I really drew in on myself. I looked at the world as just this gross ball of dread, just suffering. Everybody's suffering, and it's like you lose touch what beauty is. You kind of just forget about it. You don't see it anymore. And man, this one's deep. This one is touching the nerves. Like I said, this one was probably one of my most recent get out of it. It was a tough one. That despair and nihilism. That's the one that I think a lot of people equate all nihilism to, because it's probably one of the most damaging, especially to your mental health, your psyche. It's even pushed people to suicide. It's often Nietzsche often, when in his writing about despair and nihilism, he brings up Buddhism and Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer was the philosopher that talked about intelligent people being isolated, and it's hard for relationships, and etc., etc., etc. And that in itself, I feel that. Like I felt that. I feel alienated at times, ostracized, and it brings on this dread, this despair, this loneliness, and it's tough. It's tough. Oh man! Wow, it's been a half hour. I decided to drink real soda tonight. I was feeling a little peckish, and I was like, "Well, let me get some caffeine and sugar." I'm gonna pay for it later for sure, though. So, man, I'm thinking back to that time period. And it's brought up some fucking heavy feelings. But I got out of that. I, through weirdly enough, I don't even want to say therapy helped. Therapy, I guess, helped in the sense that it reminded me of some stuff. Oftentimes, when I'm having a rough patch in my life, as of late, I fall back on Nietzsche. That's kind of why it's been in my head a lot. And I watched Superman again yesterday. Again, more nihilism was in it. I don't know, like Ubermensch, like Superman. The character Superman is based off Ubermensch, Friedrich Nietzsche's Ubermensch. Anyhow, um, so I realized, for me to get rid of all that despair, to finally get out of that funk, is to embrace nihilism, to embrace the idea that life is meaningless, intrinsically, inherently. There's no meaning, there's no value to anything. And I can go into cosmic nihilism, but I mean, I think that's pretty apparent what that is. But you just kind of you just feel like you're just drifting there for a moment. Once you let all those go, you realize that all those values that you've been taught, all those external values that you've been taught, that you've held on to, just not, a lot of them are fake as well. Are some of them ones you keep? Yes, because here's the thing: once you accept that nihilism, you realize, like, there's a slate here that I get to build, that I get to construct. Like, I get to foundationally build my principles, and off those principles, my value system, my morals, and all that. And knowing that is just, it's been awesome. It's been pretty fucking awesome to sit there and pick and choose my values, values that make sense to me, values that I think are conducive to what I think a good goal is. For instance, I say this, and I've said this before. I'm a speciesist. What does that mean? I put the human species above other species, and I feel in order for us to remain supreme, I guess you could say, human supremacist. Anywho, I love dogs. Don't get me wrong, but dogs are good buddies to have. But oh fuck, what was I saying? God damn it, Bobby. Oh shit. Oh yeah. Build up your own foundation, your own principles, your own values. Oh yeah, I'm a speciesist. In other words, like, I want to see the human race, the human species, like, flourish. And I think in order for that, there's like values that I hold that would uh, help uh, help bring that about. I don't hold values that would be antithetical to that. And there are values that I see, there are values or external values that I had learned growing up that would be counter, counterproductive to the success of the human species. So over time, I've learned to let go of a lot of the shit, and I've learned to be confident in my value system. And it does it cause static with people? Absolutely, because here's the thing: once you reject external values and you start building your own, at the same time, you're also bridging those values with other people and theirs, because we still live together. I mean, we still interact and all that. And you're going to have people that accept you for you, but you're going to have people that are like, whoa, this guy, he's got some balls on him. He's rejecting my values and he's only employing his. How fucking rude. You'll get stuff like that, and I've gotten that a lot, to the point where I literally had to tell a grown adult, 20 years my senior, look, man, your rules don't guide my life. They guide your life. Because I don't follow your rules doesn't mean you get to tell me to follow your rules. And it's simple as that. Sometimes you got to put your foot down. And a lot of people don't like that, but the freeing, the liberty it brings, the full liberation of my autonomy, like, it's just so worth it. It took years. And a lot of depression and a lot of just beating myself up, because there was moments where it's like, Josh, why can't you just be like everyone else and accept their values and stop being the fucking fly in the ointment? But you can't, once you believe something or stop believing something, you can't, it's not a switch. You just don't flip it on and off. It's, you're either convinced or you're not. You only convince yourself. And so once I've convinced myself that certain things don't exist, these values don't make sense, they're contradicting and blah blah blah, it's like I can't just go back to them. It's like once you peek behind that curtain, there's no closing it. Once you see, you can't unsee. So I had you basically, to avoid absolute self-sabotage, you have to find so I have first three chapters, of course, Existential Nihilism. I want to touch on love and spiritualism, chapter 2 and 3. I'm going to connect all of them. I will start to connect spiritualism right here, but I will round that peg when we get there. You want to find what works for you, and you want to take in consideration of other people's values. It's the only way that's going to work. And I don't think that's something that's expressed enough. I think that is a value, though not intrinsic, in order to maintain a healthy species, a flourishing species. We have to recognize that we do have our own values, and they are going to clash at times, but we can work through that. So anyway, oh yeah, the last one, active nihilism. Oh man, hold on. Before I got some comments in here. What is up, Robert? How you doing, my man? I'm a Newport supremacist. I don't. You mean the cigarettes or the town? Oh man, I'm sorry. I just get to rambling and following my thoughts and trying to figure out. Anyway, I've said before, I will make time for audience members when I remember. I apologize. Active nihilism, a destructive but necessary phase where individuals reject old values and create new ones. Embracing self-overcoming is a foundation of meaning. So basically, I'm my own meaning, man. I found meaning in making myself happy. I found I'm trying to say this without choking up. One second. Woosah. Finding beauty in the world again is nice. So I highly, highly recommend it. I often use the joke, go touch grass. Go find beauty in the world. Self-love. You don't see, but you don't want to fall into self-love and become the last man nihilist. So careful with that one. Because here's the thing, even though, like, don't fall into despair either and think the whole world is nothing but suffering, but you can still recognize that there is suffering in the world. But you can recognize that there's also not suffering in the world. So I think that's important. Accepting both as reality and not having one consume you more than the other. I think even being consumed by too much beauty is not good. God, yeah, it's definitely not good. Been there, done that. But yeah, so that's these aren't going to be very extremely long. About 30 minutes. It's not bad. That's pretty much my gist on existential nihilism. Go through the comments real quick. Let's see. Balance, yes, absolutely balance. And you know what does not bring me balance is Dr. Pepper. My stomach's starting to feel queasy. But I'm going to finish it anyway because that's the only thing I brought up here to drink. I'll stay here for a moment. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Apparently I left the tag on the glass. But Lazy, if you're listening, I got a question for you, man. How do you find balance? And you don't have to answer. It's okay. Oh, man. I only caught the end. Good stuff. Oh, buddy. Only the end? Oh, man. Well, yeah, I've been rambling for almost 40 minutes. It's not too bad. I was worried that it was going to go by too quick. Did I cover all my slides? I don't know if I covered all my slides. I did the last man. Oh, I didn't. Did I describe this one? Oh, yeah. A passive acceptance of trivial pleasures as substitutes of genuine fulfillment. The last man. This is what I meant to bring up. I forgot to bring this. Last man. Okay. This is the biggest reason why I'm not a big sit around and watch a lot of TV. I do like movies, but I try not to have those movies control my life. Like, I find entertainment, but I try not to be too content. There oftentimes I'll be with someone and they're like, "Hey, let's watch a show." I'm like, "Cool," or they'll ask me to watch a show, or they'll recommend a show. And I've learned recently that if it's more than 2-3 seasons, I don't want nothing to do with it. If it's like a mini series, like one season is just like a group of fucking big episodes, I'm better with that. But I can't dedicate a chunk of my life to that content feeling. It brings me anxiety in my life and strife. I don't dig it. When you catch yourself committing overindulgence in anything, you have to pull back. You got to have self-awareness first off. Yes. I think one of the best ways to gain great self-awareness is, again, nihilism isn't the end; it's the beginning. Pull back. Yeah. I guess that would be. It's overindulgence, but I want to say when somebody says overindulgence, you're usually talking about maybe a one-off, or maybe it is like a routine thing. But I'm talking about like complete, like when we're talking about last man nihilism, when we're talking about complete surrender to the matrix. That's the best way I can put it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, I think I might need to sit down and make the case that solipsism is a form of nihilism. Or, I'm sorry, solipsism is a way to cope with nihilism. Because nihilism isn't bad. It's the way we cope with nihilism that can be bad. And that's I think that's my biggest point tonight. It's like nihilism itself, the understanding or the belief that nothing has intrinsic or inherent value isn't necessarily bad. It's once we grab onto that idea and we accept that idea, we realize, oh my God, there's this huge void and I got to fill it with something or I'm going to fucking go mad. It's what we fill that void with decides if we're going to go mad or not, or if we're going to be the last man, or despair, disorientation, or active nihilism, where you persevere on your own, basically. So, oh, no, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. It's a collaborated effort, though. At least switch direction. Mm-hmm. I do want to remind everybody that if you guys like what we do on this network, because it's been a lot of different shit lately. I don't have the like, share, and subscribe thing on this one. Oops, my bad. I can fix that real quick. I think there's one right here. No, there it is. Please like, share, and subscribe. And also, for those of you who don't know, when I do my Book of Blazin, I do also stream this to my own personal YouTube channel. So, guys, give that a follow too. You don't have to, but it'd be nice. So, with that being said, let's go back to that one. There we go. Oh, hey, Lazy. Speaking of, I'm glad you popped up, Jedi or Lazy. I'm going up to text me your address next, not anytime soon. I'm gonna have some tickets to Wonderland for you to try. I gotta send you. You subbed last week, didn't you? I'm pretty sure you did. Hey, Mandy's in the house. Hey. Man, all y'all great people are coming in at the end of this. That's right. This was kind of an impromptu thing. Wally's not streaming on Thursdays currently, and I wanted to do my first chapter, and I really wanted to talk about nihilism. I said hi to you first. You probably did. I'm bouncing around screens and stuff, so I will give a rundown. Oh, so Michael and I are going to be talking Nosferatu tomorrow night on Lights Camera Discussion on Nonsense and Chill. Since it's I think one of the first horror movies that kind of started the genre. I think that's what Michael was saying. So I'm not sure the validity of that. I'm going to double check that, the first horror movie, and if it's not Nosferatu, Michael, I'm coming at you, buddy. But well, thank you, Lazy. Thank you. So, okay, let me go check my slides again, make sure I fucking got through everything this time. Did I bring up disorientation? Yes, I did. Disorientation, nihilism, last, active, God's dead. Cool. Did I bring this one up? I did. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's everything. Yeah, I touched it all. Yay. So with that being said, all you guys are popping in here. Oh man, I wish I had some more to talk about. I have an idea. You guys want to pop up for a little bit? Lazy? Or Mandy? Or Shaman? I touched it all. All right. I'm gonna get out of here, you motherfucker. Oh, okay. All right. Maybe it'll pop up. All right. Let's see. Let me throw the link in the thing. Say it all over again. No, I'm not doing that. Oops. I don't want to do that either. Oh, that's right. I dropped that in my own. I wonder if anybody's watching mine. So I usually have two screens up. I got the Nonsensical Network up right here. So I don't know who's watching my stream. If anybody is watching my stream specifically, say what's up. Hey, Mandy.
Hello. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I popped up tonight to have a little solo on existential nihilism. It's been in my head lately. I wanted to get out, so that's all I did. How you doing?
I am fantastic. Sorry. I had to turn the fan off, otherwise you wouldn't be able to hear me. Like, that's the hubby in the background going, "Ooh." He doesn't realize I got my Bluetooth in.
Oh, I got. You know what? No, I got it. I got music on the background on my ears. I'm gonna turn off real quick so I can. There we go. I got some like background music going on in my ears in here. That way, when I'm talking, I'm not. Keeps me cool, calm, and collected.
I get that. Whenever I'm working on jewelry, I have to do that too. If I don't, I get, I start thinking about one piece and I'll get halfway through and be like, oh, what if I did this? And then I'll change it up. And yeah, I'm so ADD.
Yeah. Well, I have like. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At least 8 ideas I want to get out, and I want to get them out in an order that seems somewhat engaging and ingestible. And if I don't calm myself down, I'm just going to gish gallop it all. It's like blah, 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 blah.
You'll get off on a tangent and then you'll forget where your original branch was.
Yeah.
I'm so bad about that. That's why people hate when I start telling stories because I'll start out with one and it'll click something in my head. And I may take you down 3 roads, but I will get back to the original story eventually.
So since you popped up and I'm talking about nihilism tonight, what's your understanding of nihilism?
Absolutely nothing, to be completely honest. It was why I came in here to check it out. I'm going to go back and watch the beginning of the show.
I started it at 9. I let it go for a little bit before I started talking. I was kind of hoping. I didn't know. Like I'm starting to realize that after we with like Michael and I, like we'll do a show and about 30 to 40 minutes into it, then everybody starts popping in. We're like, huh? Because there's been plenty of times Shaman will pop in at the end of our show, like in our morning shows. And
Yeah.
So anyway, nihilism is basically just the idea that nothing has intrinsic or inherent value. So, and then there's different categories of nihilism. And I was touching on existential nihilism tonight, which has its own subcategories of despair nihilism, disorientation nihilism, and last man nihilism. So, and then there's also active and passive nihilism. So this is a whole bunch of words flying out tonight. So,
Right. Okay. Well, now that you've explained it, it would be hard to put a value on something anyway, because especially when it comes to individuals, uh, what would be of value to me wouldn't necessarily be, the memory that's of value to me wouldn't necessarily mean anything for you unless you participated in it. So it would be really hard to put a value on it.
and you're not wrong. And you're not, and that's the thing. That's the thing with once you place your own values on a thing, there's definitely a level of subjectivity there. What I put, like my value that I put on your dad that I've never met is going to be totally different than what you put on your dad, because you do.
Right.
Yeah, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is a realistic way to look at it. It sounds negative, but it's really not. It's absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's just I look at when I put value on humans, I put value. First of all, I have an overall value on all humans. I'd like to see us all progress, all the human species keep going and flourishing. But when it
Right.
comes, like on a personal level, like I have my inner circle, then I have my circle outside of that, and outside of that, and outside of that, and the values do change depending on where a certain individual is on in what circle. Like my parents are in my inner circle, but the mailman's like two circles over here. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Right. The more intricate they are into your life is where they belong in that value.
yeah.
That always cracks me up too because I'm going to use Glick for a moment. I love Glick dearly. And I actually met him through an old girlfriend.
Mhm.
And she turned out to be a piece of shit that I had no problem cutting off. And now I think of him as like my little brother. I mean, he's only a few years younger than me, but he became a tighter part of my circle, but I had absolutely no problem cutting her off. And that's all based on what I value and don't value. I don't like liars and cheaters, so I had no problem cutting her off.
Are you able to sit there and identify what would be an external value as contrast to your own personal value that you've created yourself, or like internal value?
Um, Give me an example.
Okay. Oh, okay. Here's one. Here is a value that I don't accept. That a lot of uh, childbirth. I don't accept the value that childbirth is a miracle. I think it's evolution. I think it's good. I think it's wonderful. It flourishes the human species, but I don't think it fits the definition of a miracle. So so when people say they value childbirth as a miracle, that is their value. If I was to adopt that from them, that would be an external value that I'm taking in. Instead, I use my
Okay.
internal. Yeah. So my internal value is one that I came up with myself, and rejecting an outside one.
Okay. Well, along those lines, something that I have had to deal with my entire life is the fact that I'm left handed. And, that's only like 10% of the population. And I actually had teachers when I was younger try to tell me that was wrong, try to tell my mom, you need to train that out of her because she's going to be backwards and not fit in her whole life. But,
Mhm.
and even in this day and age, there are still people who think that there's something wrong with being left handed.
There's
And
nothing.
oh, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. In fact, this will probably give, because your mind kind of works like mine does. There have been more former presidents and serial killers that are left handed than right handed. And so there's
Interesting.
that. Yeah, and it's a little crazy. Obviously, it's crazy for the serial killer thing, but
Yeah.
it's because left-handed people tend to be extremely articulate because we don't think the way everyone else does, and they also tend to be extremely creative. And you have to be, in order to be any kind of politician, you have to be somewhat creative. And obviously, you have to be creative to be a serial killer to take so long to get caught, you know?
Yeah. 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 I can see that. You see that. Lazy and Shaman show. I think there's the miracle of life, as an order out of chaos. However, it isn't limited to human life. It's all life, every living organ. I think there's a miracle in life. I see what you mean. I mean, I don't agree with you, but I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Life itself is a miracle, regardless if it's human, animal, life. Life is like the fact that abiogenesis took place is a miracle within itself.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
I
you
got you.
know, as being female and having had such a traumatic experience with childbirth, I personally believe that it's a miracle. A
That's
lot of
fine.
people, yeah, well, a lot of people don't know this about me. My son was actually stillborn. He had a
Mhm.
heart condition that he just, even with me having a C-section, he couldn't handle being born. So being able to successfully push a human out of your body and it be
Mhm.
able to live, to me, that is a miracle. But then again, that's
Mhm.
my internal experience from it.
Mhm.
We have
I've
different perspectives, excuse me.
yeah, I also think people have different definitions of what they consider what a miracle is. My dog is scratching at the door. I'll be right back. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, hurry,
she
please hurry
wants to.
back.
Oh, I just said it's the bedroom door. I just gotta open it up. Come on, Pepper. Good girl.
Yeah, it's
She
funny
likes.
what we do for our pets. Like mine
Yeah,
is
it's.
asleep right now under my brand new blanket that I swore I wouldn't let him have.
You value your pets. That's good. There's nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't say
I
winning the
do.
lottery is a miracle. I'd say that's just really good luck. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any other questions
Yeah,
since you
winning
didn't
the
catch it
lottery is
all.
more of a statistical thing than a miracle. Like people, and this is kind of an amusing little side tangent. I'm sorry. It always amuses me to hear people who talk about, oh, when I win the lottery, I'm going to do this, but then they never play. Like, statistically, you're out of the running from the get go, dude.
Mhm. I've been questioned. I've been given the question. Hey, what would you do if you won the lottery? My first answer is I don't play the lottery. I don't.
Uh huh.
I
Every
I
now and then I do, but it's
I
not
might
my thing.
I'll get a scratch off every once in a while if I'm feeling froggy, but I don't like. I think the lottery, the whole Powerball and all that stuff and all that stuff. I mean, I've worked places where the lottery is a thing. People dump so much money in there. It's a poor man's tax. How many rich people do you
Mm-hmm.
see playing the lottery? None of them. They don't need to. They're
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. That's because
Right.
that's one thing. I think the lottery it kind of falls into the last man nihilism because you're accepting this comfort or this search for comfort, which is comfort within itself, but
Right.
complacency. But that's just my brains on nihilism tonight. Sorry, not sorry.
Oh, no, no, no. I've always thought that, if you're putting $5 here, $10 there, that's one thing. But I know some people that it's just another form of addiction.
Oh yeah,
If
people.
you
Yeah,
if you have
absolutely.
to have that fix it's like, going to the casino. Every now and then the hubby and I'll go drop $20 a piece if we win something great, if we don't. But you see people in there that are just, you could tell they are jonesing just by the way they're playing. And I think if you have that addictive personality, you probably ought to stay away.
Comfortable.
hmm Um,
Oh man. Phew.
we
Yeah,
always go off on interesting tangents. I just want to thank you for that.
oh yeah. No worries. No worries. Chapter 2 is going to be more about the subject of love. So
Okay.
yeah, I have the first 3 chapters. I'm gonna tie them all together at the end. That's my goal.
Okay.
If I remember that goal, if I can if I can weave it together.
Okay.
So,
All right.
but
Well, have a good night, and because I
you
can tell
too.
you're getting ready to wrap up,
I
and I'll
am.
see
I
you this
am. I am going to
weekend.
start wrap. I am going to start wrapping up. Thank you for coming up. I enjoyed asking you some questions on the subject matter, and feel free to stop by anytime, of course.
Of course, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye, Mandy. I want to thank Mandy for popping up. I want to thank Lazy and Shaman down in the chats. And of course, Mandy as well down in the chats. And Robert as well. Thank y'all for popping in, dropping a line or two. And I will see you guys next time. I don't know exactly when I'm going to be doing chapter 2. It might be next Thursday again, but it could be earlier. It could be late. I don't know. But thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening to me. And I will play a very quick outro and we'll get the fuck out of here. Again, you guys are welcome and thank you.